Well, yeah, out here we are looking for hail today. If you're a homeowner in Michigan or anywhere for that matter, if you feel like your home has been affected by hail, there's a couple things you can look for to see if it's worth filing the insurance claim. If you want to do something yourself, you can go around the house, look at your siding, see if there's any dings in aluminum, if there's any cracks or holes in your vinyl siding, anything like that. And then window screens, you'll have small circle holes, like someone's dropping a golf ball into them. Gutters, you'll have little dings in your gutter downspouts as well as what you can look for. Just what we call collateral damage. It helps prove the story that the roof was actually hit by hail as well, because that's what insurance is going to look for when they walk around the house on the ground before they get up on the roof. So yeah, I'll usually pick a corner, start, and there's a couple of places, especially on the front of the house, that we look for. There's like soft metals like lanterns and lightings. You might look for a spatter or something that looks like a stain or something on the metal. And then I'll do a visual inspection of the vinyl siding as we go along. If these garage door wraps are aluminum, then that could take on a few dents on the faces here. But what you want to be careful of is if you see something lower right down here that appears to be like a sharp with a scratch, that's obviously not going to be hail. Hail is going to be a more softer impact. This would be consistent with, you know, a car or a ding from a trailer or something of that nature. And then you can see on the other side, there's accompanying of a scratch. And again, more consistent damage with vehicle traffic here. It's also worth noting that this storm happened in March. So a lot of these leaves on these trees weren't here yet. It was March 10th that we experienced this storm. So all of these leaves were not here. So the only thing shading this whole front of the property was just the sticks on the trees rather than just the leaves. That would be the front of this house is south facing. So that would be the south facet. Right hand side here would then be the east. Looking at the gutter downspout here, again, if you see something lower on that gutter, then it might be explainable to the insurance that it was a rock from a lawnmower or something like that. So anything from like the waist down is considered inadmissible. And on these gutters, what you really want to look for is these corners. It's a flatter surface. You don't have the striation of the wider part of the gutter downspout. And then you could also look for spatter on AC units. If they're the older units that doesn't have the coil protectants on here, these fans, then the coils inside themselves can get dents on them. But so units like these where they have nice protection, you're not going to get any dents in the fan coils in there. The east side of this house is actually looking pretty clear as well. I'm not seeing too much on here on the siding, the gutters, the windows, or the AC unit. So, which would be the north, excuse me. And this one, as you can see, we've got a nice big deck to compete with here. So we'll get up on this deck to take a look at the window screens up top. Anything underneath this deck, it's pretty well going to be protected. Checking the siding here, I don't see much on this little section. I'm not seeing anything on that window screen either. And since this is such a large overhang, I have pretty high doubt that anything would get past this gutter. And then the final side here, which would be the west. Again, not seeing much there. Not seeing much on the siding or the window screen. And one final downspout here. And you might see some damage on the downspout itself right in here. But again, that's not going to be consistent with hail. That is a large object that hit hit this downspout at some point. And then once they get done with their outer lap, what they're gonna do is they're gonna get up on the roof. They're gonna take a few photos. Once they get up to the top of the ladder, they're gonna look at like your overhangs, stuff like that for ice and water shield for building code, for how much we need. They're gonna look at the gutters, the top side of the gutters, the top hem, just to make sure that we're not missing any collateral damage on that section. And then they're just gonna proceed onto the roof. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. And then what the inspectors look for is they're going to divide it out by facets. So a facet is divided by the ridge itself. So this over here would be the north facet of the garage. It's going to face north. This one here is going to be the south facet of the garage. And then up here, same thing, south facet of the house, and then north facet of the house. So think of it as splitting your roof in two by the ridge, right? And then they're gonna also take a look at the siding up here too, some gutter downspouts that we couldn't see from the ground. Again, for the collateral, make sure that we're not missing anything up here as well. And once you get on the roof, anything that's down by your feet, down here, has less of a risk of being explained away by other things because most homeowners aren't on their roof. So it's highly unlikely that somebody's up here kicking the siding or hitting it with a tape measure or a hammer or something like that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's less likely than it would be on the ground. So, and then the other place you can look is this fascia on the gable ends of the home. When you start seeing those little dimples in here as well is when you can make a case for that collateral damage. We know the majority of this storm came from the southeast, but there were some swirling winds with it, so it's not going to have any type of rhyme or reason. It's just some of these homes, it just takes more damage on one side than the other. So we're going to pick on the south side of the garage here for a minute. And what you're going to want to do, or what the inspector is going to do, is he's going to make a test square. Test square is a 10 foot by 10 foot area. And a roofing square, that's 100 square feet. 10 feet by 10 feet. So the first thing that the inspector or the insurance adjuster is going to be doing is measuring out his 10 foot by 10 foot square and then marking it out with a chalk on his corners. Let me get past you here. And then you complete your square by using your other lines to guide you. And then within this, the adjuster, I mean, every insurance is different, but the general rule of thumb is 8 to 10 hail hits within the 10 foot area, or a roof square, is grounds for replacement. What that means is there's enough hail hits in a small confined area that it justifies a replacement rather than a repair, simply because it would cost more to repair than it would to replace. And then you start looking for the hail hits on here. So the first thing that I usually do, especially where the sun is, I usually start by using the sun with me. So I usually try and put the sun to my back. That helps you keep the glare out of your eyes, and also highlights, especially on these darker shingles, where that hail bruise is going to be. And sometimes you really do have to get in there with your finger, because there's a difference between a hail hit and what they call mechanical damage or a heat blister. So a heat blister is exactly like it sounds. It's a bubble from the shingle coming up from a non-ventilated or improperly ventilated roof, and that's going to burst and blow everything outward. Versus a shingle, it's an impact downward into the shingle. So when you put your finger in, you want to be careful not to gouge that shingle up, but you do want to see if there's an impression or if it's a nice flat mat. Because if there's an impression, there's granules driven into it, that means it was an impact from an exterior force rather than a blister blowing it up. And then also mechanical damage is not going to be consistent with a circle. Most hail impacts are going to be a circle bruise. So if you see a line or a scar or something along the lines of someone's dragging a blade across it, that's obviously not going to be hail damage. It's going to be more mechanical or an install error in that shingle, which of course insurances do not cover. Insurances like different marks for different hail or different damage that you see. So the universal is a circle for hail damage, an X or a dash for anything other than weather related damage. So if I see a mechanical defect or a blister, I'll put an X by it. That way in my photos it's easily identifiable what's hail and what's actually mechanical. And then when I get up to the top, I turn around and I start counting what I found. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 in here. So then I will make my heading. And as I'm looking where to make my heading, I find another one. So we'll make it a nice 12. So you put in your heading. So you put, I mean, insurances, they really don't care what your heading is as long as they can make sense of it. So we will put that it is the south garage. And then underneath that heading, you put the type of damage. So hail equals 12. So that's my heading. So I found 12 individual hail hits inside this square. That's it. And then you document it. And you go around, you take a picture of your heading, take a picture of your entire square, and then you take pictures of your up close damages. So when an insurance adjuster is up here, he's only concerned about 50 to 60% of the roof, right? If you can prove that 50% of your facets or 60% of your facets actually incurred damage, then it would suffice to say that they're going to replace the whole thing. Not every insurance is like that, but as far as like your professional or yourself or your contractor yourself doing the inspection, there's no point of doing an inspection initially on the entire house just to say that there's damage. Right? All we're trying to do is say, yep, there's damage on 50% or 60% of this roof. It warrants an insurance inspection. They're going to come out and make their own determination, regardless of what I say or any contractor says. And then if, you know, they come back with a denial or whatever, there's means to get by and get through that, however you want to do it. Right there. The reason why we like to look at these on the ridge vent is because it's not such a tough or hardened backing like you get with the plywood here. It's more of a softer, as you can see the give on this thing. So that just, again, proves the point of the hail actually hitting this house, because nothing will create that. Not even a blister on these hip caps or ridge caps will do something like this. And it does appear that it actually indented the ridge vent assembly underneath it. And then we have the skylights. So skylights, they typically have exposed flashings on the bottom. That bottom pan is going to be left exposed. This is a soft metal as well, so you could potentially get a hail strike and a dent on here too, just to prove that the hail actually hit the house. Most of the time, these skylights are rated to take the hits, and most insurance companies will pay to reflash them, but not replace them most of the time, unless the glass itself is shattered and the unit is less than 10 years old. The insurance will pay to reflash but not replace, because it did not take on any damage from the actual storm. And this bottom pan here does appear that we've got some hail hits on it. It might not be readily apparent by the naked eye, but you take the chalk and you create this across it, those will really start to pop out at you. So we've got one there, small one there, and a larger one here. And that will make it really apparent that these actually took hail impacts and dented. A lot of these houses, they'll either have a brick chimney with a flue cap on it. It's also soft metal. If you have one of these, it's a newer version of a brick chimney. It's called a B-vent in our world, or a flue cap, or whatever you want to call it. But this is the exhaust for your furnace in your AC unit, unless you have a high efficiency furnace that goes up the wall. But the point is, it's still up here and it's still able to take damage. So same thing as the Skylights, flashing pan. You just look around and see if you find a dent on this guy. And you can even use your chalk if you want to. But this is also another good one to spot the spatter. So spatter is a residue that's left behind by the hail, right? And then it will stain these, almost an oxidization. So that shows that there's hail. It's more apparent on darker metals like blacks, grays, aluminum siding will have it on there if it's a darker aluminum siding, but you still can't see it on these bright unpainted, unfinished ones as well. There is damage to all four facets of this roof, considerable amounts. There doesn't seem to be as much on the north side of that garage, but we do have what the insurance looks for, which is 10 plus hits and a 10 foot by 10 foot area on 1, 2, 3 slopes out of 4. So insurance will make the determination, but I like their chances on this one. And then we document all the damage with photos, and then we go down and we look at the photos with the homeowner, make sure they know what their roof is looking like. Anything that's not from hail damage, I'll also let them know that too. But and then from there, from us at Above Roofing, what you would get is a storm report detailing the date of loss, the type of loss. So March 10th, particularly for this one, is March 10th, 2026. And then the storm report for the hail, which is the type of loss. And then you will also get a company can, we use company can report for all of our photos in a PDF format. So you have a complete report of all the photos and notes that I take from my inspection. You'll get that in an email as well.